Today is Saturday, what is this, April 4th, 2015. I'm going to talk today about the deal with Iran. Now, there's going to be a lot said on a lot of the talk shows all over the place. Everyone's going to love this and hate this all over the place. But let's get a couple things very, very clear. Number one, is it the best deal that we could possibly get? Maybe it's close. Maybe it's not quite so close. Is it a lot closer than nothing? Of course it's a lot closer than nothing. Are all the neocons on the Republican side and every single Republican going to be against it because of Obama? Of course it is. It's going to be 100% against everything because of Obama. Is someone like Benjamin Netanyahu going to hate it? Of course he's going to hate it. Now, I want to talk about a few quick things before I get into the specifics. After the deal was announced, one of the things that really struck me is the number of young people in Iran, the V sign, victory, victory, they were all happy, all right? There were a number of people taking selfies with Obama in Iran, all right? This really puts the nail on the head in the sense that it's putting a lot of pressure on the Iranian government to make a deal, okay? And again, remember, the United States can still walk away on June 30th. There's sanctions in place, and those sanctions can be increased. So they can drive a hard bargain. But again, you will never, ever get, in a perfect world, we get everything we want. Well, my kids all went to Harvard. Well, they went to Harvard on the pike. But, so what does the deal do as of right now? Well, right now we know that it's a lot more specific than what, the parameters of the deal that we had heard before the deal was struck a couple. There's a 12,000 decrease in the number, 10,000 decrease in the number of centrifuges. And the centrifuges that are going to be kept are going to be the first generation centrifuges, not the more advanced ones. So the centrifuges from the 1970s, not the ones from the 1990s and in the 2000s. They're going to take down a complete reactor in the sense that they're going to use it for other purposes as opposed to producing plutonium. Now, let's get another thing really, really clear about this. They have agreed to have, when we talk about enriched uranium, we're talking about what you take out of the ground, 1% or whatever, enriching it to 4 or 5%, which I understand is what is capable to make it energy capable, so you can have an atomic plant that can produce energy. To get it to bomb grade material, weapons grade material, you have to enrich that uranium to 80 or 90%. The technological capability and the amount of material that you need to do that is astronomically higher than what it is to get it to 3 or 4 or 5%. And they've agreed that they will continue to enrich uranium at 3.67%. Now, I'm pretty sure we're going to hear from our Republican friends, oh, they're going to still enrich uranium. See, they're not saying the whole thing. That's not weapons grade uranium. All right. And again, there's one plant, I believe it is called Iran, A-R-A-K, Iraq, whatever. They're not going to take down the plant. They're going to change the plant. They're going to put it into other things. Now, the safeguards on this are very, very strong. They're very, very specific in terms of things that are locked, in terms of things that, in terms of monitoring, in terms of cameras, etc., all over the place, in terms of people who are supposed to be working at this plant, and if they're not showing up at the plant, then they're going to be somewhere else. Now, let's get something also very, very clear. Even though I understand that our friends on the opposite side, our good Republican friends, want to bomb Iran out of existence, that's not going to happen. And even if we do bomb Iran, guess what? We're not bombing their knowledge. They already have the knowledge to how to do what they're going to do. They're going to keep on doing it. And let's get let's go a little bit, now, there is, things that can be, there are other things that are going on in terms of plutonium, spent rods. We're going to have a lot of eyes on everything. They're not going to be able to make plutonium, which is even greater weapons grade material for a bomb. Didn't we used to call those reactors breeder reactors back in the day? I can't remember. So they're not going to be able to reprocess plutonium. So there's a lot in there. There's a lot to like, and in a perfect world, we would get everything, and that's not going to happen. And, the question is it good enough? I'm hearing a lot from our Republican friends. Oh, they've executed 100 people this year. Well, Saudi Arabia, our good friends, have beheaded, a couple months ago, they had already beheaded 30 people in their country. All right, they're still Iran's a bad player. They support Hezbollah, they support Hamas, they support the Hutus or whatever they're called down in Yemen, and of course they're working with us to get rid of ISIS. You know, what a great world. You know, can we and Iran carve out a niche where they feel secure in their own place in their own territory? Because remember, they've got India and Pakistan who have nuclear weapons. They have Saudi Arabia, who's got all kinds of money all over the place. And of course, you know, maybe Saudi Arabia is doing stuff to enrich uranium. We don't know, but they want to feel secure, and they will continue to want to feel secure. Will they continue to try and get around the sanctions? I'm pretty sure, of course they will. You know, do we get around any sanctions that we have? Of course we do, you know. And you might see some Democrats carrying water for the Republican side, indicating, oh, you know, Iran's a bad player. They don't do this. They don't do that. They execute people. You know, that's a different area of the world. I don't agree with what they do over there, but that's their end of the world. What am I supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? You know, but what is in place right now, if it can go through to the extent that it'll go through, is a tremendous, tremendous breakthrough. Now, the big thing I'd like to really hone in on, though, is remember I mentioned the kids. They're taking selfies with Obama. They're waving the V sign and all this. There's a lot of pressure on the Iranians to get things done. You know, they're a very Western culture. I've worked for a person who was from Iran. Even in the 60s and 70s, they were a very Western culture. All right, they lean towards the West. They don't lean towards the mullahs there. They're getting out of all. They're moving away from that, just like young people are moving away from gay marriage here in the United States. You know, they're accelerating away from that. You know, there will be change. Will it be the change we want? I don't know. Will it be as fast as we want? Of course not. But there will be change in Iran. And the question is, are we going to be a facilitator to help the change, or are we going to be bombing them, which will bring them all back into the fold of the mullahs and following them, etc. So now remember, the sanctions are not just about gas. Now remember, I've said before that I think they have a capacity to do about 2.5 million barrels a day. They're doing about 1 million. Once we lift the sanctions, they'll be able to do that another 1.5 million per day. At $100 for a million, that's $100 million a day. That's a lot of money over the course of time. Of course, they're not going to get $100 for it. But, you know, the sanctions, you know, of course, Saudi Arabia, as another example, they're sort of against this whole thing. You know why? Because if Iran gets more money, then they can do more bad stuff over in those areas. And that could be true, too. But remember, the sanctions are hurting the people of Iran also. And one of the specific things, you know, there's a lot of foodstuffs that can't go in. There's a lot of medicine that can't come in. There's a lot of technology that can't come in. So the Iranian people want this deal also. So the hardliners are going to be hardlining over there. Hardlining, you know, that's mainline. And the hardliners here are going to be hardlining it over there. Now, the one thing I would like is I just hope that we don't see, there has been talk in the past about Israel assassinating some of the nuclear people over there. I hope that doesn't happen, because that could take everything back. Now, let's get into just the end of it real quick. There's 3 options there. You can make a deal with Iran. You can not make a deal with Iran, and the sanctions get dropped because not every player wants to stick around, meaning France, Germany, England, China, Russia. They may not want to stick into this whole thing. They're there not right now, but they could drop off at any time. And of course, if we do bomb Iran, you know, they'll just find another way to find a bomb in another place, and they'll be even more mad about the whole thing. You know, so we can make peace, or not make peace. We can make a deal. We can not make a deal where they'll accelerate their time frame to try and get a bomb, or we can bomb them. You know, and I'm just saying, I think we've done enough damage in the Middle East. I think we've done enough damage to our credibility in the world that this is the time that we need to make a deal. And you know, once we make this deal, then we can make another deal. Then we can make another deal. Then we can make another deal. But we got to get going. We got to get moving. And the young people in Iran are going to determine their future, and they'll determine that future very soon. And if we have a deal, those are better things for the United States than not having a deal.